No, I was just asking you about like what. So official practice started today or yesterday?
I think it was yesterday officially.
Man, it's different because it was always October 15th. I feel like when I was coaching.
Yeah, I think they moved it up
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
I think they did. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's just what Coach P told me.
How have the first couple practices been?
It's been good. We're trying to do some special things this year, so it means going after it every day. So I mean, we got a deep group of guys, so I mean, it's going to be fun. So just gotta come ready to work every day. So.
Man, I'm not even going to wait. Let's just welcome the people right now and get right into it. I'm excited to have this conversation. So, we got a special guest, a guy that I'm very familiar with and very close with. Had the pleasure of coaching. Big guard for Fort Lewis, Hurdle, Tristan Hurdle from Highlands Ranch High School here in Colorado, but we're excited to have you today, man.
Absolutely.
Glad to be on.
Yeah, man. We were just talking about go ahead.
I was just about to say, I'm so glad. There's certain kids I tell around the conference, I'm just like, man, I'm glad I don't have to put up a scout for you anymore. Hey, ultimate dead three, if you let him shoot, you're on the bench. First rip, shot goes up. Bro, what are we doing? I said all week, dead three, no looks.
What's funny is I think when we played Western at your place, Bush, T-Herb, you might remember this. I remember telling you on the bench, or having a conversation with you at some point of like, dude, have your first look be a great one. Have your first look be a great one, like nice catch and shoot. First possession of the game, I think he comes down like in transition, pulls up from like 24 feet and just drills it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I put my hands up.
Like, that works.
I put my hands up and I looked down at the bench. I said, hey, what's he on the scout, guys? What's he on the scout? And Shafe turned around pissed too. He's like, he's a dead three. I was like, I know. I told them. That's on them at that point.
But it was funny because I had just remember sitting down talking to you and just, chopping it up about that. And then you come out and you launch one from 24. I was like, you're an irrational confidence guy, T-Herb. That's what I call you.
Was that COVID year? Or was it COVID year or was it the year? Because we played you.
I think it was.
That game we came down there COVID year was nuts. With Rags and Avery.
Us. Yeah, that crazy.
Rags and Avery went nuts. Like that was if they could have done that multiple games, bro, oh my God, they would have been a filthy duo.
Yeah, that week of practice after that wasn't fun. That
was
not fun. Tate knows that.
Oh, yeah. No, it's losses like that, practice, the next practice or two might not be enjoyable.
That happened to us my first year at Western. When we went to West Texas, got beat 114-55, bro.
Oh, shit.
I'm so glad I was not a player on that team Monday at practice. Dog, the amount of defensive drills we made them do, holy hell. And if they got burnt, got burnt, it was some type of punishment too. It's just like, you guys did this to yourself.
Tristan, we had our share of those in our couple of years there at the level, where we knew it was going to be a rough one going into that practice. So, T-Herb, I want to start by you what?
I said you could just tell.
Oh yeah, you always know. T-Herb, where'd you start with hoops? Kind of, I know. Is it you were born out in Georgia and you moved out here? Where did hoops start for you?
Hoops started for me when I was younger. My dad was just coaching and just got me into it. I played every single sport you could do, but he was really just coaching me into it, and then that kind of took off for me. And then I played with a group named Healthman, and it was just a really competitive group of guys, and just played out in Georgia. And we played in the YBOA, and played nationals, YBO nationals, and then after that, I moved out to Colorado in like my 7th grade year. So it's about like half and half of my life I've been in Georgia and Colorado. But no, playing hoops in Georgia definitely prepared me for playing college basketball for sure. It's just different play styles, and it's completely different type of ball. But yeah.
I did not know that.
So your pops coached you.
Yeah. One of my teammates for Healthman, that one group I played with, he plays at Missouri Western. So, so yeah, I mean, we had a couple of college guys off that roster, but I mean, it was a pretty small club.
Okay. That's so. I guess what would you say the differences are between like Georgia and Colorado high school wise?
The pace, like just, you don't have people out here just holding the ball just to hold the ball and taking, 2-minute possessions in high school. Cause that's I can already tell, I mean, it's a big issue. I feel like in Colorado basketball, it's just people just holding the ball and taking their time. And when you play in the South and everything else like that, like it's just, we're trying to score as much as possible and just play. And you're supposed to play instead of making it all.
Did y'all have a shot clock?
All that stuff.
In Georgia?
We didn't have a shot clock just because I think it was just because we were a younger age group. Okay. But they have shot clocks out there right now.
I think every station has a shot clock. Me
Yeah,
and Tate have had this
for
conversation countless of times because his team was that way too in high school. They loved to slow it down and just hold the damn basketball when they knew they couldn't, when they were like playing a better team, which is smart when you don't have a shot clock. I mean, control the game, but it's annoying.
But I mean, seeing the scores of like it being 10-10 at the end of the game, that's a little much. Yeah, like, come on now.
I feel you. Oh, but we were in our state semifinal game was 29-26. It's Cheyenne Central. They were going 4 corners with a big guy at the free throw line, just holding the ball, passing it around, moving just like it was weird, just a simple offense, but they would hold the ball for like 2 minutes at a time. Yeah.
I mean, I see why people do it, but that's just not basketball.
No.
Like, yeah.
Well, and it's something where it doesn't translate. If you have those kids that if they are, wanting to, pursue a career outside of high school basketball or just basketball that anybody can play, that doesn't translate to anything, and I think, Bush, to your point, playing that way in high school, like looking back at it, it was especially playing against teams like your guys' team that would run and gun. We didn't have the firepower to keep up with that. So that was our best chance to win. But looking at it to when I got to college, like it was a completely different pace. And we've talked about this on the pod too, is every time you go up a level is that pace. You have to get used to playing that the same way you always play, but up a notch, or up 2 notches. And so getting comfortable playing like that was, I think, a little bit more of a challenge for me after playing that way in high school.
I think that's the thing. Why I think I don't understand. I've never understood rules in American basketball. Legitimately, there's 3 different games of basketball in America. High school is completely different than college. College is completely different than professional. Everything's different. Rules, shot clock, charge circle stuff, everything. Just you overseas, and FIBA is FIBA. From youth to professional, it's FIBA. So I think part of the reason why you see so many international professionals coming over being ready and killing it right away is because they've played that style of game for years, their whole entire life, essentially.
Yeah, they don't have to, get used to it real quick. They've been doing it their whole life, so I mean, it's completely different.
T-Hurt, I want to ask you about your AAU experience out here in Colorado, because Bush and I were both, as you know, I was in the Colorado Collective. program this summer. Bush does his thing up there in the kind of Wyoming, South Dakota area with some AAU stuff.
Sacred
What
Hoops.
was your AAU experience here in Colorado and just kind of this region, and kind of how did it help you get to the level that you ended up getting to, or maybe wanted to get to?
So yeah, when I first came out here, I did the only really thing that I knew for basketball was the Gold Crown route. And so I ended up doing that, and we didn't really know what clubs were out here. I mean, we heard of Hawks and Billups, but I really just needed something to get my foot in the door. So I was blessed to have my Gold Crown coach, like one of my best friend's dads. He coached Colorado Rampage at the time. And so I played a couple games for them. And with me being a new kid, it was kind of hard to, get on the court and go to the travel stuff and all that. And so the next year I decided I kind of wanted more of a bigger role. So I went and played with Rise with DJ Stelly, and he played at Dayton and played at Overland, and he had that whole Rise club. And so that really helped me a lot, I think, is because me and him just put the work in, and he kind of was just able to let me go out there and be myself, and I'm able to get the confidence I needed. So when it was time for high school, I was ready to go. So I kind of bounced around between Rise, and then I also played Phenom Elite with Gibbs, my high school coach. So I played up 17U as a 15U kid on that team. It kind of just went back and forth between Phenom and Rise. Yeah. So I was just trying to prepare myself just for the 17U days and just high school basketball in general. And then went back to Rise again for my 16U year, and then finished it out playing Billups my last year. And still, after the Billups was done, I still ended up playing Rise one more tournament just with my guys, just to have fun. But yeah, so I mean, it was kind of working the ladder, and it's
Billups
you don't necessarily
Elite?
have to be on the Billups Elite.
Okay.
Right before the COVID year. But yeah, so I mean, my story with it was just like, you don't necessarily have to be on the top club team to be successful. I mean, I wasn't on the top club team, and you got to get your reps. That's really, really what it matters. I mean, you don't want to be on a good team just being on the bench, never scoring or never even getting in the game. So that was kind of my thing, just go where I can be myself, and then if a bigger club wants to get me, they'll come get me, and that's what happened. So and it was also good to have a mentor, DJ, that I had, because I mean, he didn't want me to go, but he's like, you have to do this so you can get the best opportunity for you. He's like, I'm not going to hold you back.
Yeah.
So
That's cool. That's cool. There needs to be more people like that out there. Too many people are like selfish. Like, no, you have to stay here. Like, you can't go over there or something like that. They can't understand the bigger. They can't understand the bigger picture.
Loyalty.
Like, how he understood for you, it was that was the best route possible for you to get where you wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he still tried to convince me to stay, but I mean, he knew what I was trying to do. So
you can't blame him, though.
No.
Like, you want to keep your good players, but at the end of the day, to Bush's point, you want to be able to look at that kid in the eye and say, "No, this is what's best for you to do. I think you should go do it." And I think that's an awesome thing.
And it's not a knock on him either for losing you. It's like, hey, he started with us. Like, hey, if you want, like, he started with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I started with Rise, like because he used to coach for Elevation, and he left Elevation to start his own club, and it was, I think, the year after, like, it was pretty fresh, and I ended up joining that team. I think they'd been around for a year, and I was there for since middle school to last year at high school. So I mean, I got a really good relationship with him. So I mean, we're pretty close. So I mean, he knows my goals and everything like that. So.
Beautiful. Bush, you got anything? I feel like I'm asking all the questions.
No, you're good. I think it's cool that you played up. I think it's cool you played up, because I think I see it a lot. I see it a lot over here too, where kids are like, "Hey, can I play up? Can I play up?" And their parents like, "No, that's so bad. It's not good." I'm like, it goes. There's both routes. Right? There's certain kids. It's like, hey, it's not beneficial for him to be playing at a higher level. But then there's kids where it's like, okay, he's reached his level. He's reached the ceiling at this grade level in summer ball. Like, is he getting better by just absolutely dominating his age group? And you know what I mean? Like, good for him to be able to do that, but let him go play up a grade or two and have him experience now some competition where it's like, oh shoot, I can't be the guy. I'm not the guy anymore. I have to do a different role or something like that.
Yeah, another
Great
thing too
point,
is like
Bush.
playing up too is you get that speed thing you were talking about earlier. Like, you get to get used to that speed at a younger age. So it just, when you go back down to your level, it makes it so much easier.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I would encourage. I mean, I did it in Georgia as well as being out here in Colorado. I mean, I've played up for youth sports as much as I can remember. But I mean, playing up just prepares you for when it's your time to shine. So
Absolutely.
you just have to be patient.
I think both of
Absolutely.
you hit the nail on the head in the points you made, Bush. I want to touch on yours is learning to play a different role, because like like you said, on maybe on your 7th grade team, or maybe you're a freshman playing with your freshman level team, and you're the leading scorer and you're the guy that makes all the plays and handles the rock all the time and is commanding the offense. You hop up to a grade or two, they might have a dude better than you at that. So you might have to learn to play something else. So I think I heard it on, I've been listening to a lot of JJ Redick podcasts. Bush, you can hate on me for it if you want.
No, I like his. I listen to his too.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, because I know you're Tar Heels till you die.
Because I actually, go ahead, because I wrote something down, I think, on his deal. But go ahead.
But I think it was, I want to say it was Cam Johnson's episode. Shout out Tar Heels. He was talking about their USA basketball run, and how he was like, a lot of these guys that are, international players that play in the NBA, they have completely different roles on their international teams or their national teams than they do in the NBA. And so like JJ Barea or like Rudy Fernandez, some of these guys that maybe you guys know those names, but like the way they play in the NBA is nowhere near the way they play in the international scope of things.
It's like Frank.
I think that's a great
I get
point,
that.
Bush.
That's so true. Because I remember that he said that, for example, he's like, you can't guard. He's like, you can't treat this guy just like the scouting report you treated him like in the league, where he just stands in the corner and shoots a three. He's like, on his team, he's the dude. Like, he's over here for a reason type deal. I was like, that's pretty impressive point there.
Yeah.
That's something I noticed too, going up to
go ahead, T.
Billups. Yeah, that's something I noticed going up to Billups Elite as well, because I mean, being on high school and being with Rise and other clubs, like I was one of the best players on that team, and then going up to Billups, that's where we had a bunch of D1 guys and other guys, and it's a completely different role, and you just have to learn how to embrace it. And it went from me being a scorer, having the ball in my hands, to being a spot up shooter and spacing the floor and just getting mine when I get mine, and just doing what you need to do to have the team win. That's the main goal.
And that prepared you for college, right?
Yep.
Like, it prepares you for your role, like, because every kid wants to come in their freshman year and be like, every kid like thinks, I want to be the freshman. I want to come in and be like that freshman that is the man type thing, but that doesn't happen for every single person. There's just, you got to find your role, and if whatever the coach sees your role is, sink into that. But then like, you can still get out of that role too. Like, you could still increase your role by playing practice and then showing it in games and stuff. But that was a good point, because that prepares you for the next level too.
For sure.
Kind of mentioning, Bush, you mentioned college. Let's move kind of into your decision-making process coming out of high school. Obviously, we recruited you, and we ended up landing you, and we were very happy about that here at Pueblo. But not so much that, but what was going into your decision-making into what you wanted your college experience to be, because we've talked about that a lot on the podcast of maybe things to look for or questions to ask on your recruiting visits and your recruiting trips. What were some of those things that you were looking for?
Really, for kids out there, you just got to ask how they see you in the program, because a lot of kids will get recruited, and we can be honest, I mean, coaches lie. I mean, all coaches do to get the players they want. So just asking the most truthful and honest questions will save you so much time. But I mean, you really just have to find a place that feels like home. I mean, that's really what it came down to. It's because, I mean, it felt like home, and I mean, it's still a home for me. But I mean, that's you don't want to pick a place based off facilities or, you know, all the other stuff. Like, you want to go where you're going to be happy and you can see yourself being happy. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. And if you're going to play, like, I mean, you don't want to go somewhere and never touch the court. Like, I mean, go somewhere where you're happy and where it's going to be a good situation for you. And I was just blessed to have both of those come in as a freshman. But that's my advice, is just ask the hard questions, because you'll get your answers real quick.
That's so true.
I remember you and Gus Wright looking at each other and being like, I think we're gonna come here. Like,
No, because in that meeting, I looked. It was just me and my dad, and I looked at him. And I was like, I think I'm gonna do it. And he's like, all right, go tell him. And then Gus was about to leave and not do it, and then he heard that I committed. He was like, screw it, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that was a good moment for us. I always like kind of thinking about you. Yeah, like just when I think about you, T. Hurd, that's one of those memories that pops up. Is I remember you two kind of locking eyes and like, all right, let's make it happen.
I remember I convinced Shafe to, like, I was like, dude, let me give him a call. Like, you trust me, he would fit in with motion and stuff out here too. And I remember I called you once, but they just weren't. And I was like, all right, whatever. We'll move on.
I remember that call.
Because I was like, dude, I think he would be. I was like, let me call him. He's like, all right, call him and see what's up. I was like, all right, let's do it. But then it did seem like, I think we had jumped on way too late. Like, that was way too late into the train, because I think you and Gus had committed like not too long after that to Pueblo. So it was one of them things where I was like,
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a whole coaching staff thing too, that because you took over for
Dev.
I forgot his Dev. Yeah, he's at a JUCO now. But yeah, so because me and Cash Up, we were talking a lot too. So I mean, I was in contact with Western too. So honestly, I was just trying to find the best school, so it didn't really.
No, that's the best point that you brought up though, because I stole that line from Ben. I heard Ben tell a kid, he's like, all right, when you leave here, I want you to understand, like, if you pick here, it's because you see yourself going to school here. You see yourself sitting in one of those classrooms we just showed you. You see yourself out on that court or in this room for meetings and stuff like that. Like, this feels like your home. And for you to say that just, it's so true, because kids, like you said, kids will make a decision based off facilities, how cool the gear is, how much gear they get, all that stuff. And then they realize, damn, I'm not happy here at all. Like, this is not fun, because one, they're not a good fit for the program. Maybe you know what I'm saying? Like you said, the coach lied to him and they just tried to get a body there for practice team or something like that, when he could have went to that other school where it was not as great, but he would have been a top 5 guy type thing. And I think that ruins a lot of careers too.
Yeah. And I mean, even with this whole portal thing too, I mean, you could be a guy out of high school that doesn't necessarily go to a higher division. I mean, and you can work your way up. Like, you're seeing it now with D2 guys that are going to D1 with Joel and Aquel. So, I mean, you just have to find the right spot. Yeah, PJ and
Blaze went.
Musa and Blaze. Yeah, we had a lot of guys last year. So
there's a few guys. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, but I mean, just you have to go where you want to go and where it feels like home, and you can always work your way up. You don't have to worry about being D1 or being D2. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That's another big thing that all high school kids think is like, I have to go D1 or it's bust. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And that's just not true at all.
Look at the kid from Jamestown, North Dakota that's now playing for the Cowboys. That's an NAIA school.
Yeah.
Now he's playing D1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think that's a natural thing though when you're growing up, especially when you're excelling at a sport. You want, or you have those aspirations where it's like, oh, I am the best, but you don't realize how big the world is. You have no concept of it. So then once you start to see that, kind of to your point, T Hurd, is when you start playing better competition, it's like you realize that how much is out there, and it's like, okay, there are some of these guys that even they're not going to go D1. I might play against them in D2. And so you're going to find that great competition at any of those levels you decide.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, kids should always aspire to be D1. Like us, I'm not trying to say they shouldn't, but I mean,
no, absolutely,
at the end of the day, always try to be the best you can be. But I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to go where you're going to get the most out of it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
no,
true.
I think that's something we've reiterated over and over again on this pod is just, and I think that's something maybe you guys feel the same, is that's something that's starting to become more talked about is with podcasts like this and athletes and former coaches or whoever hopping on these podcasts, is that the guys like the Damian Lillards, the Steph Currys, they got to those places not by going to these high majors or this highest level, even though maybe they could have. They still found a way to get there. And I think just the more that's talked about, the better that is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're good, people are going to find you no matter what level you're at. I mean, you could look at Duncan Robinson too. I mean,
facts.
Yeah.
D3 to Michigan and then went to G League and worked his way. Like, they'll find you if you're good.
He played in the Natty, right? Am I wrong on that? Did he against Villanova?
I have no idea.
I don't even remember what year Duncan Robinson was.
I don't know, but
I completely spaced it.
Anytime I think of Michigan, this is such a random ass basketball player, but I think of Spike Albrecht, that little white point guard that went off in the national.
That's a little bit before
game.
Your time, T.
Way before. Look that up one time.
That's
bro.
way before T.
This kid was like a walk-on, and he came in against Louisville in the national championship game in like 2013 when it went nuts in the first half, had like 19 points or some stuff like this, and this kid averaged like 1 point per game and just went off.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, baby. That's
just
that's some throwback.
Random
T Hurd went, ooh, is that? Oh man. T Hurd, I want to just talk to you like about your first couple years. Obviously, like we said, I was able to coach you. Bush was able to compete against you as a coach on the other side. What were some things now heading into your new destination there at Fort Lewis that maybe it was a role thing that you learned, maybe it was the pace of the game, maybe it was what you're effective at this level? What were some things in those first couple years that you really started to see, okay, this is what I can be good at in college? Because I'll preface that by just saying how thrown into the fire you were, all you guys were your freshman year, like you started at the 4, I think, for a lot of that year or a chunk of that year. And so what were some of those experiences you had in your first 2 years where you did get kind of thrown into that fire that you're kind of taken into where you are now?
I mean, it teaches you to learn on the fly. And, I never saw myself playing the 4, but, being thrown in that situation, it made me rethink kind of that playing the 4 at my size and why it could be beneficial. And, having a slower matchup on me and spacing out the floor so much more at me being at the 4 compared to being at a guard and all that other stuff. But I mean, I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, it's college basketball, and I mean, I learned to play my role, and every team's going to need each guy to be a certain role. And I mean, last year I didn't play a single game because of back surgery, but my role was just to be one of the most positive guys and just pick people up. And that's something that I learned last year, that those first 2 years that I wasn't really much of a vocal person, and last year I kind of learned that we kind of need that. Sometimes it's way too quiet and you need someone just to say something, get people going, if that's on the bench during practice or what it is. But I mean, just bringing that energy too. I mean, some guys don't understand, like, coaches love to see that, being on the bench and just having energy for your guys. They love to see that. So that was, it was something that I learned that I never thought I was going to learn in that scenario, being out, but I did, and I'm blessed for everything that even happened. I mean, blessing in disguise, I guess. But
that's a great perspective to have on it, Tristan. Like, I was not expecting you to say that, but that's such a great perspective to have on that. On obviously probably what was a tough year for you last year, not being able to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you're 21 and having to do back surgery, there's a lot of things going through your mind. Like, is it done for me? Do I have to hang it up? And mind you, I've had a lot of those thoughts, just because, you wake up some days and you're in pain. But one, being raised the way I was, it's like you learn to fight through things and just be strong, and you'll know when you're done. But I mean, just got to keep fighting. And I mean, I love this game so much. I'm not just going to be done just because I had one surgery. I'm going to come back, try to be even stronger.
I'd expect nothing less, Tristan.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So.
No, that's a good perspective to have, dude. Man. You gotta look at the positives out of everything. even if it's a bad experience. Like, if it was something that you didn't enjoy, like even kids that if they went to a school for a year that they didn't enjoy, you got to look at, like, what did that teach me? Where did I grow? What did I grow in? And not dwell on the negatives, because then you're not gonna really take anything from it at all. And that's the thing that I've had to learn over my experience, just with where I've been, like, just all the people I've worked for and stuff like that in the basketball world. Like, even though some of them haven't been the most enjoyable, I've grown from it, and I've learned how to maybe express myself in other different ways that don't seem like frustrated and stuff like that. Cause it's all a learning process in anything that you do. Yeah. So I like that mindset that you have.
Yep. I mean, there's always things you can learn from every situation. So you just have to change your perspective.
What, moving into your Fort Lewis, man, like, I'm looking at some of these names on your transfer list that you guys got. Obviously, Big Zay you brought with you.
Yeah.
Braden's there, right?
One of them. But Braden Carter, there. I'm seeing Amando Miller. He's a kid that we recruited fairly hard to CSU Pueblo when I was there. Yourself, I hear good things about this Malik Whitaker kid. Yeah. Some of these other names, I'm not super familiar with, but there's
a guard he brought in too, right? That came with Malik.
Samir. Yeah, Samir Kinsley. He did really well. I mean, you could look at his stats. I mean, he's one of the most efficient guys. So, I mean, we have a really really good depth on our team. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's going to be like Chinese fire drill. Everybody's going to get some time to just go do you, and it's going to be fun. I mean, we do have a lot of guys, and with some of the returners as well, with Obi, Siku, and we got a lot of guys.
Junior's
so
still
it'll be real fun. Yeah, Junior's still there too. Yeah,
that's a big key right there. I think Junior's like one of the biggest keys, because he's that energy guy. He'll come out. He's not afraid to talk.
Yeah. He's not afraid to talk, and he's a good leader for us. And he always tells us, when we need to be picking it up and whatnot. And so it's good to have somebody on that, like, on the team. And when one person starts doing it, and makes everybody else want to start doing it, and everybody starts getting competitive, and you get the best out of everybody, and that's just the way to do it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Coach Petrak and Coach Danielson were in their bag this summer recruiting for you guys. Jesus.
Yep.
Well, I was just about to say, like, your roster is, from what it looks like from the outside looking in, is a successful product of what can be, or how the transfer portal can be used. Because as much as your guys' team and your roster is new, you guys have experience at the college level. It's not like you're bringing in, a bunch of transfer freshmen or whatever, coming from a bunch of different places. Like, you guys yourself, you're going into your 4th year, correct? Or am I tripping? 4th year?
4th year, but then I'll have, including this year, there'll be 3 more. So
right.
Be a 6-year guy.
So you have plenty of experience under your belt. Isaiah has a couple years under his belt. Braden Carter's been around for a little while. Like, as much as your roster is new and is probably going to have some sort of learning curve as to the way Coach P wants to do things and all that type of stuff, I think your learning curve is going to be flattened by the fact that I think it looks like you guys got some high IQ dudes to figure that stuff out on the fly.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys that just know basketball and love basketball, and it's easy to have chemistry with guys like that. So it'll be fun.
I think it's important that that you guys brought in, like, you, Braden, and Isaiah for as just RMAC guys as transfers too, because that's so big with out of league transfers that don't understand. They're used to their league and what happened over or in what league they were in, right? Because the RMAC's every league is different. The RMAC is different than the Lone Star.
That Friday, Saturday,
you know what I mean?
Is some
so it's good because it gives you not only do you have a couple guys from the team last year, but then you got some other vets that can tell these guys, like, hey, this is what it's like, and this over here, this is what the conference is like. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's big too. But what I wanted to ask you, the one question that I've been waiting to ask is, how, with all of this being a brand new team, like guys that came from all sorts of different teams at the college level, like, has it been difficult to find roles and where do people fit in, or has it kind of like clicked right away, or like what kind of talk about that?
So yeah, on the defensive end, it's just we want to be dogs. That's really what it comes down to. And then on offense, it's just us wanting to share the ball and just get the best shot possible. So, we haven't really gone over like roles, but people just know what they're good at and what they're not good at. And it's just do what you do well and don't do what you don't do well. That's what I picked up from it. And we're starting to mesh really well together, and, that we're trying to get to that unselfish kind of basketball since we have so many people that can affect the game. It's going to be scary if we can all put it together and have 10 guys all scoring in a single game. Because, you guys know that's hard to guard compared to having 5 guys scoring or two or 3 guys scoring. If you have 8 to 10 all putting up numbers, then you don't know how to guard it. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're trying to get at right now. So we haven't really established like the roles and stuff, but people kind of already know their role, and since we have that experience, they kind of know like this is what I do. So it's just kind of just do what you do.
That's vet ball right there. That's veteran ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you said about kind of figuring out, or not necessarily being defined your roles, but having that understanding of what your guys' games are and what guys were probably brought in to do. Like, for example, Tristan wasn't brought in to be the point guard. That's not your game. You know what I mean? And so it's like you go in with an understanding of, this is what I'm being brought here to do, whether it's be an assassin from behind the 3-point line or whatever that might be. I think if everyone comes in with that perspective, then you can start to see roles form themselves, and you don't even really got to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
What's Coach P and Coach Danielson like in practice? What's like?
It's
I'm trying to
fun.
get the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
I
No,
know. I love that question. I love that.
Yeah. Coach Ty really focuses on defense, and Coach P focuses on offense, and they're not afraid to, get on you. So, I mean, they hold you to a high standard, and we're trying to win a championship. So there's,
have to be
there's
that
high
way.
standards that have to come. Yeah. So we're they're just trying to get the best out of us every single day, and we're just trying to win. So, I mean, that is really what it comes down to.
That's cool.
So who'd you say does offense? Who does defense?
Coach P is offensive minded for sure. He's insane when it comes to offense. And so and then we have Coach Ty as defense, and then we also got the new coach Jeff Evans. He was a Quailcott's high school coach.
Yeah.
He's teaching some of his defensive stuff as well.
That's pretty neat.
So yeah. So we got a total of 5 coaches on the roster, but
Ty learned under Sundance Higgs over at Missouri Western. So he's got that that juice, that fire in him.
I know it. I think Ty Danielson, when I was the GA at Concordia, I might have told this story. He came in, I think, as I was leaving as the GA, coming in, applying to be the new one. So I remember him, I believe, in those interviews. But he said, I mean, even back then at the ripe young age of 22 or 23, whatever he was, he seemed like he had some fire and some juice in there. So it's been a cool thing watching him rise through the ranks a little bit in the college coaching thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a cool guy to have around in the program. I mean, he's really there for the guys as well. So it's good to have coaches like that.
Oh, here's another one. Who was the main recruiter? Did they both kind of were they both doing it, or was one did you notice one was more than the other, or?
So mine, it was kind of both, Coach P and Coach Ty. Coach Ty was going through some personal things, so it was more P. But I mean, for me, it was an interesting story too, because not a lot of people know is that I actually came to Durango for a workout because they wanted to see if I could still move after surgery and stuff. And so I didn't really talk much before then, just besides setting up a workout. And then after the workout, they're like, "Oh, well, we love what we see and we want you to come here." So it was a completely different conversation after the workout, and everybody was there for that. And it was like a little visit, but I mean, it was kind of just, let's get you down here and see what you can do. So, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a huge recruiting process, but it was just, they just wanted to see if I could hoop. So it was just, I just kind of loved that kind of mindset.
Coach P had seen you play for 2 years. He probably knew if he's going to be able to get out there and move around, we know what we're getting in him.
He's so offensive minded, he could find looks for you.
Yeah,
easy looks too. Easy looks.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, Tristan. I remember when you were talking about kind of your transfer process and that Fort Lewis was up there. I think that it's just a place that's going to suit you so well because of that offensive mind and understanding where to put players. He really seems to understand how to put players and fit players into his offense, and for them to really thrive in that. I think of guys like Whitman, how he made him such a great cutter on the backside and that skip passer, and found ways for him to be effective. When you look at Will Whitman, it's he's not a super talented offensive player, but they found ways for him to be effective. And I just think I was stoked for you, man, when you told me you were going there, because I think it's going to fit you well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's just on that offensive side. I mean, there's just even being out here for practices for a month now, I think it is. But I mean, it's completely different. Nothing like I've seen before. I mean, he just knows where guys are at the floor. He's like, go here, go do this, and it's just, you just get an open shot every time, and it's crazy to think about how he just has it all in his head up here. But
it's for real.
It's all
crazy.
up there.
That's one thing I've always respected about Coach Petrak is every year all his teams are always like leading the conference offensively or something like that. But it's not they don't just they do play defense too. Like he always has some guys that are willing to get down and guard and all that stuff. So that's always interesting to see.
Yeah, that's one of our goals too. Is go
ahead.
One of our goals too is I think he said that last year Fort Lewis was 192 in defense in the country, and offensively I can't remember the number, but they were pretty up there. But he's like, we got to get that number up if we really want to win a championship. So I mean that's kind of been our mindset of like we're gonna get after it and have our defense lead off some offense, make it even easier for us.
Fort Lewis got hoed last year, though, in my opinion. I think that whole regional turns out a little bit different. I think BH and Fort Lewis are playing for a regional championship instead of BH and West Texas, in my opinion. But we don't have to go down that road.
I mean, we need to play a different elevation. I mean, it's gonna be completely different.
Yeah.
So.
Those Texas teams would have had no offense to those Texas teams, but they would have been sucking that wind that first time they got there. No, my last question was for you. I didn't know about the whole workout thing. I was gonna ask, like, did you look at anywhere else, or like was it kind of just Fort Lewis the whole time, or?
So me, it was Fort Lewis, BH, and then CCU. CCU got on me like right when I hit the portal the next morning. I got a text from Dettinger, but it was really Fort Lewis and Black Hills as well. And I've been to Black Hills before, and I've seen it. And the only school I haven't really seen was Fort Lewis. So I mean, it was easier to make a decision after I've seen Fort Lewis, just because I've already seen the schools. They're not going to change that much in 2 years, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
So, I mean, that was pretty much what it was. And, Tate knows, but I mean, it was a tough decision to find the right spot and asking people questions to figure out, what it was going to be. So, but yeah, I mean, it was what it felt right. I mean, it was just, it's just what felt right. And I mean, my dad also comes down here and works every other week. So, I mean, he's also around. So that's kind of, that was another piece of the pie. So
that's cool.
What's been the biggest adjustment for you, maybe basketball wise, or maybe otherwise, going from Pueblo to Fort Lewis? Just start on the basketball floor. Kind of what? I know that's kind of a general question, but what's been the biggest adjustment going from a program to a different program for you?
The biggest, like, I guess, smack in the face was just like you're really starting over. You don't really necessarily realize that until you get there, and you have to meet a lot of new guys. I mean, I was fortunate just because we do have a lot of Colorado guys and a lot of guys that I've played against already, so we kind of already knew each other and knew of each other. So it made that transition easier. But I mean, from a basketball perspective, I mean, it's just different kind of coaching mindset, and you just have to learn how to play for that coach and what he wants out of you and all of that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's pretty much, and we're trying to play at a higher pace. So, I mean, we're trying to play even faster. So that's, like we said earlier, there's different stages to it. So, I mean, that's kind of what I noticed too. But yeah, I mean, it's a new
Is
school.
The terminology way different? Is this terminology way different than what you've been used to?
Yeah, that was definitely something you had to get used to as well, just because he's saying one thing and you're thinking the exact same thing, but somehow it's a disconnect just because you're thinking two different words, but you're thinking the exact same thing. So there was a lot of that as well. But I mean, the coaches are good enough and good at explaining what they want out of you, and so there's not a lot of the disconnect and stuff like that. So
Beautiful.
Damn, I miss basketball season, Hilgs. Basketball season needs to
T-Herd, we've been just like, for one, you're our first guest in like a long time, so this is good, and we want to keep getting more RMAC guys, especially as season starts to get closer here in November. But it's really just been Team USA, like that's all we've had to talk about. So we've been doing some bowl, like these college football picks that we'll do here at the end.
And like last week, we'll take a week off. It's just, I'm just waiting for.
But we've just
basketball.
been fiending for some hoops, man. Yeah. So you're giving us our fix right now, dude.
Yeah. I mean, there's the preseason for basketball is starting right now this week, I think. Had some NBA teams play.
I saw that.
But, I mean, it's a couple weeks. It's starting up, so get the NBA.
Who's your NBA? Is it the Suns?
No, the Hawks.
The Hawks. That's right. I should have known that.
I was about to say that's random, but I know why now.
Some NBA real quick. What's your outlook for this NBA season? Because we haven't even talked about the Dame trade. We haven't talked about any of that stuff. So, with all that's going on in the NBA, what's kind of your outlook right now?
Yeah, I definitely didn't see Dame going to the Bucks, but I mean that's going to be like a Shaq Kobe kind of duo right there. But the Suns, I think, might have won that trade because they needed the depth and they got the depth. So the Suns are going to be really nice just because their starting four they have is unbelievable, and then they actually have some depth to help them out. Nice. So I think they're going to be pretty special. But I mean, everybody last year had thoughts about who was going to win it, and nobody really expected the Nuggets to win besides diehard Nuggets fans. So
I mean, true, that's very true.
It's anyone's like game this year. I feel like so. I mean, every team got better in some way, but I mean, maybe besides Portland. But I mean,
facts. I think it makes the Bucks. Because, Bush, did we literally not talk about this exact trade on the pod one week?
We had a bunch of episodes ago. One of Kate's guys from Sheridan College, we said the same thing. We were all like, "Dude, if Dame can find his way to Milwaukee, that's gonna be crazy." I even brought it up. So I was like, "What about Dame to Milwaukee?" And they were like, "Oh yeah." The fact that happened,
it could work. Yeah.
To me, it makes them the favorite because the Nuggets lost, and not saying that the Nuggets are going to drop off. They're a legit contender still as well. But they lost Bruce Brown, who I think was such a huge piece of that championship
run. Is KCP still there? Did he stay?
Right?
Yeah. I think
if he stayed, that's big. If he left, that's...
I know Jeff Green left too.
Yeah. They're bringing back Braun too. But...
Yeah.
But as good as Drew Holiday is, I think adding Dame, your defense ain't going to get that much worse because you still got Giannis, you still got those other guys, some of those other guys, and your offense is just going to go through the roof. And I just think it makes them so unguardable.
It's like Giannis said, what do you want to – who do you guard? What do you guard there in the pick and roll if you do a pick and roll?
Yeah. I mean, even with the Celtics too, they got Drew Holiday. I mean, they're looking pretty good too. So
yeah, I forget about that. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh. That to me elevates the Boston Celtics better than with Marcus Smart. Obviously, it's a big upgrade because I remember people were pissed that first one. They were like, "Oh, we lost Marcus," but honestly, I think they had that they were trying to work something out to get probably just a replacement for him. That's better. Drew Holiday's so much better than Marcus Smart.
Yeah, he just brings so much more to the offensive end too. I think like he's just as good defensively, and I think he brings even more to the offensive end. Let's just make a pick real quick. Who's our way too early pick for the NBA champion? I'm going Milwaukee. I'm sorry, I'm gonna ride the wave.
I was Milwaukee too, but then when I saw what the Suns got, and I mean, I think the Suns are going to be pretty good. But I mean, I also said the Suns last year, so I don't even know.
Man, I probably think it's gonna be the Bucks. I do. That's what I said. I texted Clem and all those guys. I was like, "Yo, congrats on your 2024 NBA championship." Even though as much as I would love Steph to get his fifth and get one more than Bron, it's just not happening this year.
Wardell. calling
What do y'all think
Wardell.
about that Chris Paul trade?
I don't like it,
Go
but
ahead,
I think it
Bush.
might
That's your
work.
squad.
I don't like it, but I think that it could work. It depends on. I like the lineup idea that they have without starting Draymond. I kind of like bringing Draymond off the bench now, and having it be CP, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Looney. Bro, come on, stop. Draymond is a good guy to bring off the bench. Would be a great guy to bring off the bench.
So what'd you say the lineup would be?
The lineup, their first preseason lineup game against the Lakers was CP3, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Looney. It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
No, it's a good lineup. I mean,
because think of what the four game is now. Like Andrew Wiggins fits perfectly for a stretch four.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shooting might be questionable, but
for their style of play.
And the other thing is the rebounding. Like that's where I think the Warriors struggle when they ran into the top tier teams. Their depth at the 4 and the 5 spot just was nowhere near good enough.
Well, yeah, you can't bank on Looney to get 20 rebounds a game.
Yeah, that he was going off.
Dude, that's the reason they won Game 7.
So if you start Andrew Wiggins, you're going to get smashed on the glass every single game.
But Dre's not any better. He's a little bit better, but I mean,
Rebounding?
It's not like he's tiny. Do you realize how tall Draymond Green is? It's his arms that
I know he's like 6'6",
arms.
legitimately.
But I don't know, man. I'm just salty because we didn't make move. We got Dario Saric was a decent backup big man, but I wanted someone else that could. I wanted why can't we go get Dwight Howard? Why can't we go get some of these dudes that are out of the league that should be in the league right now? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we go get Dwight Howard? Why can't we give Boogie Cousins another chance? Why can't we give those guys chances?
They tried Boogie in Golden State, man. It didn't work.
That happened. He got hurt. I remember I looked back on his stats. Right. He was hooping for him, but he got hurt.
That's my
Boogie,
fault.
before he got hurt, was MVP caliber. I mean,
like with those Kings, with the Kings,
and Pelicans with him and AD.
Even afterwards,
yeah, insane.
That Pelicans team could have been filthy if he wouldn't have torn his Achilles. Because they had Drew Holiday too.
Yeah, would have been a really good team.
All right, Hills, you want to lead us in with the picks for the weekend?
Yeah, this will be our last thing. We're getting our guest T Hurdle on the college football picks with us. Just to recap last week time, we've been off for 2 weeks. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Ohio State won that one. CU and Oregon, we both picked CU, and they got waxed.
That was bad pick.
Utah, UCLA. Utah ended up winning that one. Washington State, Oregon State. Washington State won that. BYU, KU won. I'm sitting at a pretty 7-2. Bush, you want to reveal your record?
Yeah, I'm 4-5. I went 2-3 last week. Really bad week for me. Really bad 2 weeks. I was 2-2 and then 2-3. So I'm trying to rebound this week.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that.
We'll see, I guess.
These 4 games this week, I don't even know what week this is for college football. Week 6 or something?
Week 6. Or week 7.
Week 7 for college football. We got number 8 Oregon at number 7 Washington. Go ahead, Bush. We'll start with you.
I'm going Washington. I'm going Washington with Michael Penix because he's the Heisman leader to me right now.
Couldn't agree more.
Love it. Three for Washington.
Yeah, it's at home too. Like, come on now.
Yeah,
they're balling. That dude, have you seen him?
Just real quick on that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize he was that good. Like, I didn't realize he was Heisman candidate.
So he came from Indiana, and when he was at Indiana, that was the best 3 years of football Indiana's had in like 20 years or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like he was doing the same thing in Indiana, not like winning a lot of games, but like, I mean, they were competitive.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so we got number 7 Washington. That's all 3 of us. Number 10 USC at number 21 Notre Dame. Notre Dame with the brutal loss to Ohio State a couple weeks ago.
It was bad.
Go
10
ahead,
dudes
Bush.
on the. Yeah, I think that's at home, so Notre Dame's going to rebound. They're going to have a little chip on their shoulder. SC has scared me the last 2 weeks. They almost lost. They almost blew a 30-point lead to Colorado, and then they almost lost to Arizona at home. So I'm not seeing it with them. I got the Irish.
Okay, go ahead, T-Herd.
I'm going with USC. Caleb Williams is just it. He's just him. I mean, there's nothing else to say.
He's so good.
He's gonna find a way for them to win. I mean, it's been ugly the past 2 weeks, but I mean, I think they just had some tough weeks, but I think they're still a very good team, and their 10 is an understatement for their ranking. But
still undefeated. A dub's a dub, I guess.
Yep. Hey, win's a win. However you get it.
I struggle with this one. This is a classic matchup, also. Like
absolutely
the old school USC Notre Dame matchups.
Brady Quinn,
man, I'm gonna go USC as well. Yeah, man. But like even before that too, like playing, 80s, 90s, all that shit. But I'm going USC as well. Next one, number 25. I like this one actually. Number 25 Miami at number 12 North Carolina.
Go Heels, Drake May. Got to ride with it, man. Luke May's the GOAT for the Heels with that shot he did against Kentucky. It's his little brother's turn to lead him to the promised land.
Oh, that's his brother?
Yeah, little brother.
Oh shoot. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know much about Tar Heel football, but I know that Miami had a rough loss last week. You don't know how to take a kneel to win the game. So I'm going to say North Carolina on this one.
That's 3 for North Carolina simply because they're at home, because I don't know much about them either. But I saw that same clip, and I'm like, man, you can't make that mistake.
The funny thing about that is I was watching a talk show host the other day, and they're like, and it was Rex Ryan. He was like, you'd think he'd learn. Like, you'd think, a lot of coaches would go from this and they learn from this. He's like, well, you go back and do research on this guy, and he's done it before. And the same thing happened. And it's like, damn,
really?
Bro, learn to take a knee. He's done it all. He did it all year, too. I mean, they were blowing teams out all year, but he wasn't taking a knee. And it's just like, bro, just win the game.
They got the receipts.
Yeah.
Now you guys don't get to go play in the college football playoff.
Would have been nice to see the U back there.
Facts. They said that loss
last
cost them
game
billions of dollars. Side note.
Because they were sitting at like
17,
10, weren't they? What were
17.
they sitting? Oh, they were sitting at 17. Yeah. All right, last game. Number 23 KU at Oklahoma State.
I'm going KU. I don't know. I'm just going to ride that wave. Let's see if they can keep it going.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, this one's a toss-up. I mean, Oklahoma State, some games have been horrible and some games have been on fire. So, I don't know. I think I'll just take KU. Just because they're ranked, honestly. I think that's the only thing I could say. So
that was gonna be my justification, but I'm going with Oklahoma State just because I get a feeling. I'm going with Oklahoma State at home. I'm gonna support the shout out JMO, the fake Pokes. They're not the real Pokes of Oklahoma State.
The real Pokes are 5-1 and 27th in the
gonna win the Mountain West, baby.
They're doing
Let's
well.
Go Pokes.
Love to see it. All right, T-Herd, we appreciate you, man. We were excited to have you on. Obviously, this one that was close to home for me, but appreciate you, man. It was some good stuff.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Good luck this year. I don't even know what episode this is. 29.
29. Episode 29.
Episode 29. The Tristan Hurdle episode.
It's
Yeah,
moving
baby.
up. So you
remember
know
when the
where
first
to
Go
one
watch
dropped.
Fort
Oh my
Lewis
gosh.
this
Watch
year.
Fort
You
Lewis,
can
yeah.
watch them on the RMAC network. I don't know if you need to
Yep.
pay for the
Nope.
RMAC network
Free.
anymore. But
Free.
There we
go
go.
watch them on the RMAC network.
Absolutely. That's all I got. You know where to find us, people. Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, iTunes, all that stuff. Hills, what is this? You got like a little celebration thing going. What the? What was that? All right.
A little confetti at the end.
All right,
there we
go.
On that note, I guess
We're out.
Yep.
Kitchen Hook.